Lineup with Costa in goal. Then a back four of Cancelo, Diaz, Danilo and Guerrero. The holder is Neves, then it's Bruno Fernandes, Otavio. And the top two, João Felix and free agent Ronaldo. For Ghana, it's O.A.T, Ziggy in goal. Then a back three, Salisu, O.A.T and Jiku. The wing backs, Babarakman and Seydou. The holders, Abdul Samad and Partey, with Kudus and Andre Ayew, the skipper, supporting Iñaki Williams. We're closing in on kick-off for the Group H encounter in the World Cup between Portugal and Ghana, and in Doha Stadium 974. The victor of this game, if there is one, will know that they will top this Group H table after the earlier draw between Uruguay and South Korea. For Fernando Santos' seleção, there are 7 changes from the team who beat Nigeria 4-0, so I don't really know what they've learned from that. I think it's more notable the changes made by Ghana. The Black Stars have made 3 changes after their 2-0 victory over Switzerland, with Lamptey, Owusu and Jordan Ayew replaced by Kudus, Partey and Jiku. So for what it's worth, Portugal line up with Costa in goal. Then a back four of Cancelo, Diaz, Danilo and Guerrero. The holder is Neves, then it's Bruno Fernandes, Otavio. And the top two, João Felix and free agent Ronaldo. For Ghana, it's O.A.T, Ziggy in goal. Then a back three, Salisu, O.A.T and Jiku. The wing backs, Babarakman and Seydou. The holders, Abdul Samad and Partey, with Kudus and Andre Ayew, the skipper, supporting Iñaki Williams. We're closing in on kick-off for the Group H encounter in the World Cup between Portugal and Ghana, and in Doha Stadium 974. The victor of this game, if there is one, will know that they will top this Group H table after the earlier draw between Uruguay and South Korea. For Fernando Santos' seleção, there are 7 changes from the team who beat Nigeria 4. It's a very warm welcome to our coverage of this World Cup. I'm John Hogan, and he's got his headset on. I'll be talking to Ben White about a game that in theory could be pretty good. There's no doubt that Ghana is sprinkled with plenty of talent, particularly Mohamed Kudus. I watched him for Ajax this season, superb. Portugal, as we all know, have got Ronaldo looking for a new club. He'll be hoping to impress somebody who's got lots and lots and lots of money to pay him for his weekly wage, but he'll have a point to prove that, I guess. Anyhow, it should be a good game.
It really should, John. I mean, looking at this group, and then of course the one that follows us with Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland and Cameroon, that in theory, maybe on paper, they're the 2 sort of groups of death. There's not really an official one, but with Switzerland getting a win against Cameroon, you're looking at this one in particular where South Korea and Uruguay just drew 0-0. It's so in the balance, this group, and there's a lot of games to go ahead in. Of course, we're still in the first match day, aren't we? It's the first game for Portugal and Ghana of the competition. But with a draw in the other one, a win for either team takes them first. Whoever loses will go into 4th, going into the second match day. And it's such a level playing field in this group. Anything can happen. I mean, Portugal, they've struggled in recent matches. I know there's a lot of criticism surrounding Fernando Santos. Ghana have got, as you say, a lot of talent on paper as well. I think it's anyone's game, really, and it's anyone's group to progress in the top 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think maybe that draw before this has taken the sting out of this game a little bit. Even if you end up losing it, you're a point behind the 2 of the other teams. Only 2 teams go through, don't they? Anyway, Bernardo Silva, who I forgot to mention in the team news, so I was giving Portugal 10 players, but he's on the ball right now, and lest we forget him, he's too good to forget, isn't he? That's the other cliche about Portugal, they're a one-man team. No, they're not. João Cancelo on the ball, Bernardo Silva, João Felix, they're all world-class players, aren't they?
They are, and I mean, when you're highlighting Bernardo Silva, I think even for because obviously Pep Guardiola for City is so famous for switching around the attack so often. But Bernardo Silva, he gets in the team a lot. But I mean, here for Portugal, he can just sit behind the 2 strikers, which on paper are Ronaldo and Felix. But obviously, we're just looking at Ronaldo on the ball now in his own half. Maybe giving a foul away, I'm not too sure about that. But he's dropping deep. But regardless, Bernardo Silva's going to be everywhere on the pitch. He's sort of given a licence to be in his own position almost, wanting the ball, giving the ball to the people ahead of him. It's a chance for him to shine amongst, as you say, so many other players in this team. Joao Felix, he's not had the best of seasons with Atletico Madrid at the moment. So, I mean, what better chance than on an international stage like the World Cup to essentially revive your season, which is still only halfway through, because after this, the club season will be back.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, no need to panic. The other thing about Ronaldo is that I suppose for him, he wouldn't be wondering about his gas and lecky bills, will he? I'm sure he's got enough to make sure he's covering the cost. Anyway, the ball back at the moment with O.A.T Ziggy, who will launch it long. It's nowhere near Iñaki Williams. We were chatting about this fellow ahead of kick-off, just saying he played for 3 countries, the third of the 3 countries if you're including the Basque country. As a separate country, although he does have a cap for them, and for Spain as well. And something I didn't know, Ben was telling me about that Williams' brother played for Spain in this tournament.
Yeah, they're a busy family, aren't they? I mean, you've essentially got your parents supporting 2 nations. I mean, what do we know in this World Cup? Who knows if the 2 were to get to the final, then they'd face off. But yeah, for Iñaki Williams, I suppose he's at the age of 28 now. He probably realised that he's not going to get into the Spanish team. I mean, there's not a lot of world-class strikers. They've got so many good attacking talents of Spain, but then an actual striker, of course, you've got Alvaro Morata. I know Asensio played up top originally in starting against Costa Rica. He's not an out-and-out striker. But Williams, I guess he still felt the need to maybe try out for Ghana, because he would be sort of the recognised striker, the one that would start in big matches just like this one. He's got a lot of talent about him, obviously, but he's still in the early stages of his Ghanaian career. He's only got 3 caps, so he comes into this World Cup. Maybe he's still trying to get used to the players he's playing with.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He'd be used to banging his head against the brick wall for Bilbao, who can still only play Basque players as Portugal get a corner kick. So William's been playing for a while, even though he's not exactly prolific. He works hard for the team. He found it very difficult to displace Aritz Adjaris as well in that team, but there's a reason behind that, and that's because he was brilliant. All the way up to being about 36, 37 years of age, in fact, he seemed to get better. Anyway, corner kick for Portugal. The ball comes in, and Marti heads it away, and then a shot is scraped well wide from the edge of the area. Bit of a sighter there from Otavio, who plays for Porto. Caught hold of it, but well, he just had a bit of a lash at that. So again, I wonder where the game might be won. Ghana have got 3 at the back. I quite like Salisu, 6'3", plays for Southampton. He wouldn't be the reason why Saints have been struggling this season. I think he plays well when I see him. And although Amati, you might argue, is a right back, he does well when he covers in there. He's big enough anyway to cope with that, Ben. So I don't really see a big weakness at the back for Ghana.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, Salisu, I think the problem with if we're just going to focus on Southampton here, they've got other talents. I mean, they've got Armel Bella-Kotchap as well. He's got a German cap to his name. I don't think there's any issues with the defenders they have, Salisu included, in what is, I suppose, on paper a defensive lineup. It looks like a 5-4-1. Andre Ayew's maybe one of the more advanced players. Of course, Kudus is on the other wing as well. You've said that he's had a great season already with Ajax. I say great, he's only halfway through, but what we've seen already in the small amount of time is so impressive. So, and he's very quick as well. You might think that they'll take a counter-attacking approach, be defensive when Portugal have the ball, get out onto the wings, use their pace. And Iñaki Williams, as you say, he's not totally prolific, but he's going to have to be prolific if he's a lone striker in a competition like this.
Yeah, just for the moment then, barnstorming run down the left-hand side, but Guerrero ends up with nothing. And then the ball's won at the edge of the area, and Neves with the strike, that's immediately blocked away. Andre can't get to the ball as Ruben Diaz gets there first, and then the ball is just launched back towards Diogo Costa, who, they've got 3 good goalkeepers as well, and any one of them would be good enough. Portugal looked then pretty strong all the way through. You just wonder, I think, it's the Man United thing really, where they get to the point where they can play without Ronaldo and think actually they might be better off. The point is still there for Portugal, at which point you drop somebody who's got the most caps, most goals ever. He's never going to be supplanted as top goal scorer for Portugal, is he? Do you know what I mean? He's a legend. How do you drop him? But does that mean to say that they play better with him in the team?
Well, they're not the only nation that has that issue. I mean, just in the last game, we saw that Luis Suarez, he didn't have the best of matches. He's the one with the most goals in Uruguay's history.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's at a similar age to Ronaldo now, maybe a sort of similar ability in the sense that if you're playing him, then you're almost working with just 10 men on the field, only 9 attackers, because he's just going to be standing in one position, expecting the ball. It just means that your entire team tactics have to revolve around one player rather than the full 11. So I think you probably make a fair point in the sense that maybe when Ronaldo's time does come, hang up his boots, they've got talent elsewhere. You're looking at the bench, they've got players like Rafael Leao, who's been unbelievable for Milan. Gonzalo Ramos is another striker, he's bagged a few goals recently, I think in a friendly as well, just before this World Cup for Portugal. There's plenty of options in their team. Of course, they're always going to lead with Cristiano Ronaldo, but the time's ticking, of course. You know, time won't stop for anyone, especially in a short football career. So when it does happen, you've got to think of something different, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. World Cup doesn't really care how old Ronaldo is. He just cares how well he plays, and he's still got great ability. Whether they can get enough ball at him, Uruguay couldn't get the ball to Suarez today, and Suarez couldn't get on the ball. I saw him 2 years ago, and I thought he was gone, to be honest. And I was amazed to see him starting that game. Anyway, the ball now with Ghana, back with their keeper, O.A.T Ziggy. Just rolls it out with his feet, finds GQ. Ball goes back to him, and then he launched it long for Andre Ayew, beaten in the air though, quite comfortably. And now maybe a chance down the right hand side as a cross comes in. Keeper comes out though, and Diogo Costa gets comfortably on that. It wasn't the worst ball you're going to see from Alidou Seydou. A few of their players, Ghana, who play in France. He's with Clermont. One or two others play there. Abdul Samad in Lens as well. GQ plays for Strasbourg. And decent levels, but you look at the teams that Portugal play for, your Man United's, Man City's. You know, it's a who's who, PSG and all that. Anyway, just for the moment then, it is Portugal on the ball down the right hand side. João Cancelo making some ground. Ball one back though, and again good work by Iñaki Williams. He came back there to help win the ball, and just flicks it back to a colleague. All in white today, Ghana, as they pick it up through the back three. Ball flicked forward, then a terrible first touch in the middle of the park. Maybe an opportunity now, and Ronaldo's through on the keeper, and he does really well. And O.A.T Ziggy off his mark quickly there, just able to stifle him. That was pretty poor in the Ghanaian midfield, giving the ball away.
Well, it was just 2 moments of heavy touches, really. The worst one was from Kudus, but then Ronaldo, it's not the best of touches, it's not the worst of ones. He still manages to get the shot away. But by that point, as you say, O.A.T Ziggy's come racing off his line to close down the gap. I mean, at the time that Ronaldo hits it, O.A.T Ziggy just completely on him. No chance to sort of get the ball away. Maybe, I don't know, when it gets a scenario like that, Ronaldo's looking more to try and get round him, to try and buy a penalty. But it's a good stop in the end. It bounces off Ronaldo as well, so it's a win-win for O.A.T Ziggy, because it's a goal kick to them.
Yeah, Ghana playing out from the back, but they're finding that Portugal are trying to catch them doing just that. Ball breaks, and Iñaki Williams then trying to put the pressure on Ruben Diaz, and he does just that. Didn't allow him to turn. Andrea, who goes to pick the ball up. We're used to seeing Jordan playing. He still plays pretty well, doesn't he, in the Premier League? And he actually played in their last victory over Switzerland in a friendly. Did Jordan Ayew. We'd expect to see him at some point. Baba Ratman, the Reading man, just worked out of it there. And then a foul in the middle of the park. Otavio judged to have been caught late. Spotted by our referee, who today is Mr. Ismail El-Fath. Anyway, Portugal have it. They made a bright start. 11 minutes in, Portugal 0, Ghana 0 in this Group H encounter. And we'd already seen the draw between South Korea and Uruguay, who I think looked sort of well matched in a way. Neither team could necessarily dominate the other. They both had bits and pieces of half chances. Nothing hugely gilt-edged, although Diego Godin, who's always been a good player, managed to scrape a header onto the woodwork. That, I think, is about as good as it got, really. Anyway, just for the moment. A little bit of work. Abdul Samad then back in his back three helping out, but Portugal again win the ball high up the field. Seydou just caught up the field. They've got to chase back, but he's done a good job of that with Otavio. Then the ball with Bernardo, and he's got Guerrero looking for the overlap. Ball turned round the corner. Guerrero's got it hooked away from him. Ball chipped into the box. Ronaldo looking far post for the ball. Doesn't reach him, but still Portugal just around the edge of the area. Work it really nicely. And then the cutback kick comes in. Brilliant play there. Working their way around the back. Bruno giving a license to roam. Quite like this triangle that they've got. But it's very fluid, isn't it? We're seeing the midfielders queue up all over wherever they can influence the game. As the ball goes to the far post, Ronaldo with the header. And it's come off his head, glancing blow, and the header's gone wide. That's a real opportunity, Ben.
Well, I was just going to say that they were patient in their build-up for the original chance with the triangle, and then they go and take the corner kick rather quickly. He gets the slightest touch on it. Well, in fact, he gets quite a bit of purchase on it with his forehead. I think he should be doing better there. He's got a good few feet of a leap ahead of the Ghanaian defender. Just glances it quite far wide in the end. I mean, we all know his heading ability. He should be doing better from there. But yet, they're very patient in the final third of Portugal at the moment. Yeah, on that far left-hand side, we saw it was Felix, Guerrero and Bernardo Silva acting as that triangle, just working it around the Ghanaian defence quite easily in the end. So it's a positive start for Portugal. They've seen far more of the ball, probably when it's come to final thirds. It's always been in Ghana's defence. I don't really think Ghana managed to get a touch in Portugal's final third at all yet. So for the time being, positive for Portugal, but do they want to get a goal early? Are they happy with what they're doing at the moment? Just taking it slow, because they're passing it around the back now, but it's positive signs.
Yeah, I think having watched the first 14 minutes, I know the game can change. South Korea started well against Uruguay, but then they kind of got on the ball a bit more. A savvy team like that. But I think there's a mix. Portugal. I'm just looking at the ages, thinking, are they a team of old men? Well, they tended to roll like some of the oldest, but there's a lot that's in and around 28. You know, were actually in their prime. Only really Pepe, the vice captain, at 39, and Ronnie at 37, the old stagers. So they don't really need to go that route if they don't want to. Having watched this first 14 minutes, I think Portugal are going to win this by 2 clear goals. Anyway, whether they do or not, that's my own thought about that. But Portugal are looking good to me, looking strong, and seeing a lot more of the ball just in midfield then. They managed to ride a challenge there, but the ball quickly picked off, and then there's a foul in the middle of the park. As Andre, are you he's chopped down in his prime there, but just as I've said, Portugal is looking good. They sloppily give the ball away.
Yeah, and then we're making this point about them looking comfortable on the ball, but then Germany had, what was it, 78% possession or something against Japan in the first half, and then, well, how did that score end? Japan turned it around. So it's just more proof that possession means nothing in a game, especially, and well, for any game for that matter. But yeah, just Ghana getting a little bit more possession now. Still not really getting into the defensive half of Portugal, but it'll be interesting to see how long it can last from Portugal. Whether they'll get frustrated that nothing's really happening. They're looking solid in defence of Ghana, apart from that one chance where it came through for that cross, which led to the corner eventually. Iñaki Williams nearly getting on the end of that long ball, probably the most advanced touch that Ghana have had in the entire game so far. But they're just trying to get in the game little by little at the moment.
Yeah, that's it, feeling their way in. But I just think Portugal here. I know what you mean about stats. I'm not a big believer in all stats, this and that. Just look to my eye, look like they're too strong. They've got lots of goals in them. You know, Bernardo, Bruno. We all know they could score. I would say the most disappointing player out of the Portuguese team in the last couple of years would be João Felix, who was going to be a world beater, wasn't he? Now I just think he's an all-right player. You know, he's not bad.
It was a huge transfer fee that Atletico Madrid paid, didn't they, from Benfica? And I mean, he's had his frustrations with Diego Simeone. It just seems like they just don't get on as well as maybe previous Atletico Madrid strikers have been. But he's not a proper striker, I suppose, in that regard. He's so technical on the ball that he can drop deep on occasions. Whether that works in this Portugal formation, because that might mean that Ronaldo can just essentially hog the back line of Ghana while everyone does the work behind him. But there's still something to prove with him. He's still young, isn't he, João Felix? But it was just such a huge price tag that there were always going to be questions raised for any mistakes that he made, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's tough when you get that price tag on you, but I've been a bit disappointed. Simeone's got his tried and trusted ways, hasn't he? And his people, he tends to use about 13 and 14 a season, and they're the people he trusts, and everyone else goes out on loan or something happens, you know. Anyway, here is Felix on the ball. He's just gone a little bit deeper to pick it up. He's more central now, but they are on the attack, Portugal, down the right-hand side. Cancelo puts a good-looking ball in. It's headed straight up in the air, and now they through Kudus. Will look to clear their lines. He tries to spring the attack. Iñaki Williams is in a good position there to make a break, the inside left slot, but the ball goes forward and no chance for Thomas Partey to get on the end of that ball. Just a bit sloppy in possession, really, Ghana, although I do like Iñaki Williams, and I know his MO is to keep working and working. You know, he'll never stop, but they just need to find him when he's peeled away like that.
Well, I'm just looking at the shape of Ghana. It looks so narrow, especially in the midfield. We thought that Ayew and Kudus would be maybe just the wingers to run down the byline with a bit of pace. But Kudus, he's so central. It's almost like they're playing with 4 central midfielders at the moment with 5 at the back. I mean, look at how narrow Andre Ayew is there. He's in the centre circle almost. Maybe that's the intention. Maybe that means that Portugal are always going to have to go wide when they're in the ball, getting crosses into Ronaldo. Because with United as well, they've had a similar issue with Cristiano, in the sense that they get so many balls into the box, it doesn't work out. In the end, that's their only option to try and find chances. And when it doesn't work, they've got no plan B, just getting a lot of balls into the box. So it's probably the intention made by Ghana to be so narrow in formation and force the ball out wide.
Yeah, it's tedious. Already watching it, it reminds me of watching Man City at home.
Yeah.
You know, Ghana apart, the Black Stars. I thought they might have a bit more ambition than this. And I think that it's a good Portuguese side who have got ball players in there. They've got scamperers. They've got passes. You know, Ruben Neves, he's having a great season, really, despite the fact that his team have been poor. He looks fantastic, and so I just think they've got the tools here to get round the back and unlock the door. Cancelo, you know, maybe on the right-hand side. I personally think he's the best right back in Europe at the minute. You know, I think that they've got this Swiss Army knife attack, if you like, where, you know, they've got the right implement, the right tools, and I can't think but this is going to end up in anything other than defeat for Ghana. Although there is a foul there, Guerrero brought down, and again, the referee's not had that much to do. Ghana again, you can see how they're lining up in defence. They are like they are on the team sheet. It's 5 at the back. You know, then you've got Samed and Partey right in front in their positions. You know, Kudus and Ayew just behind Iñaki Williams. But it looks fairly obvious what they're trying to do, which is through the middle, just try and stifle it. But that's allowing Portugal a little bit of room around the back. Just for the moment, Seydou wins the header. Ball goes to the left with Salisu into midfield. And then Samed just getting a touch. The next pass is just blocked away. Will give half a chance for Bruno to at least put some pressure on, but Jiku, the Strasbourg man, runs away with it. However, when you haven't really got targets and when you've got so many bodies in your own half, you find when you look up for a long pass, there's really nobody to pass the ball to. And at the moment, it's just wave after wave of Portuguese attack. It's nothing too meaningful at the moment, but for me, it's just like throwing mud at the wall, and eventually some of it, I think, will stick.
It probably will. I think 20 minutes in, I think you've sort of got to give credit to Ghana, because in the past 5 minutes, all that has happened is passing from right to left, left to right, right to left of the Portuguese midfield and defence, and they've just won a free kick now, Ghana. So it's sort of working. Whether or not Portugal will just lose their temper a bit in that they're not getting exactly what they want from the game, I don't know. We're just seeing Andre Ayew as well. He's almost on occasions playing up top with Iñaki Williams, maybe just to give that bit of support, because he's seen nothing in the ball really. Williams, he's come short for this throw-in, and then just laid it off, bit of space now for Ghana. But maybe that's the reason it is narrow. But when they're in possession, I mean, this is maybe the furthest they've come up the field. They've got Ayew, Kudus, and Williams coming forward, so it's a transition formation almost between defence and attack. But,
I mean, in a way, it's kind of genius from O.A.T, isn't it? Because what he's saying is that we're up against the back four. and we've got one man up against the back four. But when it works out, and here he goes, he's running through the middle. It's not a good ball to him though, and Williams can't thrive off service like that. But at a certain point, if the two full-backs for Portugal get suckered into just both bombing on and going too far, you could end up 3 against 2 for Ghana, and their counter-attack. So we'll see how it all works out. But just for the moment,
that just nearly happened, didn't it? Then, John, as well. If it wasn't for Kudus' terrible ball, and Iñaki Williams was in, just what you've said there, then could have happened right in front of us for what would have been completely against the run of play in the sense of just possession-wise, because Portugal really haven't had that many good chances. Just that Ronaldo header. But yeah, apart from that, it's not a lot happening in the game, I suppose. It's just more you're looking at it tactically and thinking what can happen for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's it. It's like an exercise, isn't it? At the minute, an academic exercise, how to get the best out of your team. Ghana clearly are going to try and punch on the counter-attack and catch an overcommitted and frustrated Portugal out. That may or may not work. I don't think it will personally, but you never know. That's football for you. I think that Portugal will have too many guns, but for the moment they don't. But for a couple of sort of half chances for Ronaldo, in fact one good chance really. But Ronaldo was chasing a one-on-one. He managed to get the ball first and flicked it, but the keeper O.A.T came out pretty well. And then they'd roll round the back from the left-hand side and managed to get a cross in. Guerrero's ball was probably a good one, but Ronaldo's header wasn't, and it slid off his head to some degree and ended up going well wide. So that's about as good as it's got. We're halfway through the first half. You're listening to independent off-tube studio commentary from myself, John Hogan, and now to take us through to half-time is Ben White.
Cheers, John. Yeah, well, it is still goals. We've already seen 4 0-0 stalemates in this competition. There's only one, incidentally, in the last World Cup, 7 in 2014. So really, we're on track to break that record as well 8 years ago. That was, of course, the last time that Ghana did appear in a World Cup finals. They did play Portugal in that competition. The Portuguese coming out 2-1 winners thanks to a goal from, well, it was who else really, Cristiano Ronaldo. He's found a few chances in this game, not really a clear-cut one-on-one with O.A.T. Ghanaian goalkeeper coming out on top of that one, and then a header, that just glanced past the post. Ghana look quite solid in defence. They're just happy to see Portugal keep the ball, stick to being rigid in that back 5, and then with any opportunity to come forward, they will try it. But it's that narrow midfield really that is forcing Portugal to go from right to left. Of course, we so often see João Cancelo essentially play as a central midfielder, as it were, with Pep Guardiola at Man City. He drops in narrowly and then out wide, but he's sticking to the touchline for Fernando Santos' men in this tournament so far. Long ball looking for Bruno Fernandes. It was an overcooked pass in the end. He was the most advanced player for Portugal. It was Otavio that saw the run.
It wasn't a bad ball, was it? I think both he and João Felix were making the same run. I'd like to see João Felix play in between the lines a little bit more. It looks like Ronaldo's getting marked. Whenever they see the 7, they're just not letting him be. Where I think that the number 11, João Felix, they're just allowing him to roam a little bit. So if he can play in between the lines and get on the ball a bit more, maybe he's got the chance there. I mean, there's a clear line. It's a definite back 5 today for Ghana. There is Seydou, just a slight touch by Felix, and he wants to go down and claim the free kick. But the referee's bought into that, and free kick it is.
Yeah, well, he's convinced Ismail Alfat that just to give really Ghana what is probably going to end up being about 45 seconds of respite for a free kick, which O.A.T will take. Portugal have seen so much of the ball in this half for all of their 10 outfield players. I don't think that Diogo Costa has had a touch yet. He's come into the side instead of Rui Patricio. John mentioned they've got 3 goalkeepers that are perfectly capable. I know that Anthony Lopez, apologies, is another one of those. He's not in the squad. And maybe Diogo Costa's earned his place thanks to his quite remarkable club form. He plays for Porto. He's broken a record in the Champions League this season, saving 3 penalties in the group stage. Never been done before. He's saved 4, in fact, if you were to count one that eventually had to be retaken by Club Brugge in one of those group stage matches. He's in place of Rui Patricio, who was the goalkeeper when Portugal were crowned Euro 2016 champions and UEFA Nations League champions 3 years later in the inaugural edition of that competition. Thomas Partey's under pressure from 3 or 4 Portugal players here. The Arsenal midfielder does very well to lay it off to O.A.T.
I tell you what, it surprised me. I mean, Jose Sa is the other.
Yep.
who we know is a good goalkeeper, but he's not even got one cap yet, not even one chance they've taken him. But we know he's good enough, you know. So Rui Patricio will be the standby, the 34-year-old, and then Jose Sa, who amazingly has got to 29 without getting capped.
Yeah, well, for nations, I mean, I'm thinking of Germany right now. They're dying for players like strikers. And then maybe is it just even more frustrating for a nation when you've got too many good players in one position, especially a position like a goalkeeper where they can't obviously play anywhere else on the pitch.
I think it's weird, isn't it? You want your best player to probably be a goal scorer like Wales have got with Bale. You know, probably not a left back like Scotland have got with Robertson and Tierney. Two world-class left backs. Where does that get you? Doesn't get you to the World Cup, I'm telling you that.
Then of course we have England, who has an innumerable amount of right backs that somehow Gareth Southgate tries to fit 2 or 3 into the team at once. Here's Bernardo Silva, lays it back to João Felix, who he wasn't pressed by any Ghanaian player. There were a few between him and the goal. It's a first-time strike with his weaker foot that was just leaning back in the end, wasn't he, John? It's gone high over the bar, but one example, one of the rare examples where the Portuguese attack has sort of seen just a bit of space to get a shot away.
Well, you're better at languages, Ben. What's Portuguese for time? Tempo or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
but
tempo, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the referee's just saying that Ati Ziggy's taking a bit too much tempo.
Well, the thing is there though, he had time. Like you said, the first. I want to see him playing between the lines, and when he did, he's got more time than he knows. You know, you've got to be aware what's around you. Did he have time to control it? Yes, he did, but he didn't know that, did he? Because he didn't take a look. I think you've always got to just have your eyes peeled and be aware. He just doesn't do those things, you know. If that ball hits the back of the net, then he's a star, isn't he? And he probably already is. I'm sure that his bank manager thinks he's a star. But, yeah, he just needs to play that a little bit better for me.
Plenty of stars in the Portugal team against, of course, the Black Stars in this fixture. Alongside João Felix is, I mean, do we even need to say it's Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, who... well, he's been in the headlines aplenty this season, most recently in this week, given that the mutual termination of his contract with Manchester United after what was, I suppose, an unofficial in the eyes of Man United, an unofficial interview that has essentially put the final nail in his coffin for his services at Manchester United. Free kick for Portugal, just in Ghana's half. Just want to get your thoughts on Ronaldo, really, John, because I mean, we've already spoken about him, I suppose, but it was a dwindling relationship with his... It's not his boyhood club, but he joined United at such a young age and then he came back, but it's just so deteriorated over the last few months. It was all rosy when his comeback came, what was it, about 15, 18 months ago. And, well, it's all ended very sour, and he's a free agent now.
Yeah, I think that it's difficult. It's almost like you take somebody like that and legend status, can you drop him? Can't really. Or can you? I mean, the truth of the matter is that he'd be getting paid about 8 times as much as the manager, if not more. You know, so who's more important? You know, the manager decides not to play him. He spits his dummy out. Don't want to see the team finishing their game off. You don't want a player like that, and it doesn't matter who they are. You know, I think he'd been brilliant for them, and I hope that last spell doesn't, you know, diminish what he achieved there. You know, in his young career, he was superb there. Still had his ups and downs, didn't he, with Alex Ferguson having to sort of beg him to go back after one World Cup. Was it a Euros, a World Cup with the winking and all that with Wayne Rooney?
2006, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, you know what? It happens to us all, doesn't it? We all get that bit older. But here is Ronnie. He bursts past the first man, puts the ball in the back of the net, but he's adjudged to have made a little foul there, has he?
Yeah, he just shoved. I think it might have been Jiku or Danny Lamarty. I wasn't too sure on it. I mean, there's plenty of Portugal players surrounding the referee. It's Jiku in the end. He's got hold of his arm and then he gives him a shove in the ribs. It's enough contact to go down. It's one that I think the referee had already blown his whistle as well, so it sort of nullified the ball going in the back of the net. If he'd waited a bit, he might have discussed it with VAR, but I think there's just about enough in it to give the foul on that one. But yeah, of course, Ronaldo is a free agent now. I'm sure he'll have plenty of offers, maybe not from teams that he would want. I don't think there'll be any Premier League teams offering well, the money he wants. Maybe they don't really want that sort of player around the squad.
Well, I mean, weirdly, Man City wanted him at the same time as Man United, which I find bizarre. Although they were sort of struggling for goals, he didn't really seem to trust Jesus, did he? And you know, he's had strikers in and out. But yeah, it's weird. and like we said, not many can afford him anyway. And I think probably, maybe another couple of years in Italy will probably suit him down to the ground. Albeit, I don't think he'd get the terms that he'd be expecting or that he'd been on at Manchester United.
No, and I mean, if you look at it financially, I suppose there's very few teams that would afford him. I mean, you're looking then at maybe the MLS or some of the Asian competition. I mean, not least the Qatari League. There is only one player in either of these squads that does play in the Qatari League. It's Andre Ayew, that plays for Al Sadd. Of course, maybe you might know him, given that Xavi Hernandez used to manage them. The stadium isn't being used in the World Cup. It's only a 12,000 capacity, but given the false numbers of attendances they're giving out, it's only 12,000, but they could get away with about 30, 35,000 saying that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter about crowds to some degree, does it? It just matters about money, I suppose. I mean, they used to go to China, didn't they? Because they were throwing loads of money at it. I don't know if that's the case now, but the players tended to only go for a season and then have enough money and think, oh, I want to do something else.
Ball in from Bruno Fernandes, cleared by Baba Rahman in the end. Goes out for Portugal corner. Baba Rahman is still on the books of Chelsea. He's had 7 loan spells in 7 years. I think the Blues are doing anything not really to get him in their lineup. He's had back-to-back loan spells now at Reading in the Championship. But he's getting the chance on the big stage at the World Cup. Portugal take their corner quickly. Otavio looking to the back post where Danilo Pereira was waiting. Only midfielder. He's playing in the centre-back role tonight. O.A.T Ziggy does well to claim that one. Throws it out quickly to Baba Rahman. Further forward again is Abdul Samed and Thomas Partey. Again out to Abdul Samed. 34 minutes have gone in this one. Still goalless. Portugal 0. Ghana 0. Independent unofficial off-tube studio commentary. The layoff from Mohamed Kudus brings Andre Ayew into play. It's a good tackle from Joao Felix of all people, and then Otavio has his shirt pulled. Ghana's captain Andre Ayew would be lucky to get away with a yellow card on this one, which he does in fact. There's no card shown in the game at all at the moment.
I think shirt pull when somebody run past you, naughty.
It's a bread and butter yellow card.
Yeah, it is. It should be anyway. It's almost worse than chopping somebody down. That I just think, don't do that. I'll beat you by skill. It's not football, that is it? Or, and you thought they were going to get rid of all these. But I've got to say that, back in the day, and I'm a little bit longer in the tooth, Ben, World Cups have been spoilt by, teams hacking down the talent and getting away with it. And they all know that they can't do that anymore. Some of the World Cups were appalling back in the 70s. They really were. Uruguay could go a long way in the tournament. They really could, just by being cynical. It's a lot more difficult to do nowadays.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, they're totally trying to stamp off a lot of things in recent years in football, especially in this tournament. I mean, we're seeing so many minutes added on for any sort of little attempt of time wasting now. Pierluigi Collina is the one to try and remove that from the game, and by removing it, he's just adding a lot more time to fixtures. Remains to be seen how many minutes will be added on in this one. There's not been too many pauses.
Well, the England game was incredible, wasn't it? Because 24 added minutes. Yeah. It makes it a long game, doesn't it? You can fit a lot of goals in that, can't you? 8, I think.
Well, it's essentially an extra time being played there, really. It's almost a full 30 minutes of an extra time. So, but plenty more time for goals. But again, in what has already been an intense season for so many, it's another third of a game, and you've got plenty more to come, especially if you go long in the tournaments. And then if the minutes keep getting added on, you could see an extra 2 full games played each. Anyway, Otavio gets the ball in, looking for Cristiano Ronaldo, cleared not once but twice by Ghana, only as far as Danilo Pereira. Joao Felix has dropped deep, not under a lot of pressure. Thomas Partey in the end body checks him, still finds its feet to Otavio. Looks to catch O.A.T Ziggy out at the near post. Joao Felix is still down, looking at Thomas Partey. He wants a free kick. The referee just played on in the end. It's a half chance for Portugal, but again, I think Ghana are doing their job in defence. There's a long ball up, looking for Iñaki Williams. He's got a real tough job on his own up there, especially when you've got the likes of Ruben Diaz at the back as well. But having said that, Ruben Diaz has just miscontrolled it. It's gone for a Ghana corner. Yeah,
he toe-ended that ball further than I could kick it, and he's trying to clear his lines, but instead he's toe-ended it out for a corner. That's the pressure that Iñaki Williams puts on. Like I said, he's a proper greyhound, and he'll chase after anything, and he's really put them under pressure. They could do with nicking a goal here, couldn't they? Said who's going to take the corner kick. I fancy, and I think he thought he was going to take a throw. Then he got to take a throw, then put the ball down. Oh, actually, we've got a corner, lads. Anyway, ooh.
A bit of excitement for me. Mohamed Kudus has gone over now to take it. So, yeah, it'll be a great chance for Ghana. They haven't had a shot all game, and Iñaki Williams is the one underneath. Diogo Costa, Thomas Partey's in there as well. Baba Rahman swung in. It's cleared at the near post by Ruben Neves. Straight back out to Kudus. He'll give another similar ball in. It's a better one, but it's again cleared. This time it was by Bruno Fernandes, of all people. Maybe another Ghana corner. So it's a good spell of pressure from the visitors. I haven't seen a lot of the ball going forward. It's maybe set pieces that they'll have to depend on. And they'll try it again. Baba Rahman this time's going to come out to take an out swinger.
Yeah, they're not massive, are they, Portugal? I wouldn't say they're the strongest aerial team. So players in there. Abdul Samad fancies it. O.A.T in the mix there. If Baba Rahman can find them, you never know.
You do never know, especially in this World Cup. So many surprises already. It's swung in by Baba Rahman towards the 6-yard box, cleared well by Portugal's captain Cristiano Ronaldo. Miss hit in the end from Seydou, the right back. After all that, Portugal do get themselves a free kick. The 38th minute. Yeah, just going back to Iñaki Williams, because he's almost joined Ghana at the perfect time, really. He's decided to switch allegiances at 28. You've already mentioned the number 28 with Portugal, players being in their prime, so he's sort of come to Ghana in his prime. There's Tariq Lamptey on the bench as well, who switched from England to Ghana. I know there's been rumours of Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. Where do you stand on that? Because, of course, it's great for a player to represent their nation. If they have dual nationality, then it's, of course, representing one of your family members, essentially. But I think for some, on the other side of it, you see that Ghana have qualified for a World Cup, and then people are seeing the opportunity to jump at that, to try and get in the squad and play in a competition where, for their other nation, they might not have appeared.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer for me. If you fulfil the criteria and you're wanted by that country, then you go and play. It might seem, hard pill to swallow for some of the lads who'd helped them get qualification, and then all of a sudden, another few were seemingly lining up. But what we want to see is the best Ghana team it could possibly be. Nobody moaned when Big Jack took the Republic to World Cups with these lads who he found from all over the place. And I was just saying before the World Cup, before Gareth Bale scored for Wales, the last Welsh player to score in the World Cup was Sheedy, scoring for Republic of Ireland. From Built Wells, I think.
Wow.
So it is what it is. You put yourself forward. You give yourself a chance to shine at the highest level. And if you can't do that for the country of your birth, as Sheedy did, then with his dual nationality, or the fact that he could get in the Republic team, then that was his passport to playing. And what a good player he was. And we want to see those players at the World Cup.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, it's a good point you make about Wales. You're looking at Qatar as well. Of course, when they got to the World Cup, they didn't really have many players in their federation at all. They've tried to bring in players from other countries. I know a few Brazilians have renationalised to join that lineup. Ball in from Portugal's cleared quite comfortably in the end by Jiku. I know that the one that leads the line for Qatar, Ali Al-Muez, he's born in South Sudan, and he ended up switching allegiances to Qatar. So, from their perspective, that's just trying to get a good squad to eventually compete in the World Cup. They're not showing it at the moment. They're very poor, obviously, against Ecuador, and they've still got the two tough games to come against Senegal and the Netherlands. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was likely that Qatar's team would be full of Brazilian expats who lived there long enough. But I looked at their team, and it wasn't like that at all. So, but like I said, if you fulfil the criteria, then then you should be part of the selection process.
Well, they're on the ball at the moment in the 41st minute now. Only a few before we do see how many minutes. It's anyone's guess, really. Would be added on by the fourth official. Thomas Partey now into Abdul Samad, dispossessed in the end by Otavio. Portugal can get plenty of players running forward now. One of them is João Felix, who has tried to break the back line of Ghana. Apologies. Second bite of the cherry for Portugal to play the long ball. Cristiano Ronaldo's running onto it against Seydou. Tries to cut inside on his right foot. The 1-2 with Guerreiro. Gives it back to Ronaldo. Tries a strike from quite a tight angle in the end. Probably the poor option. Daniel O.A.T gets in the way of that one. Blocked, but still in Portuguese possession. Ruben Neves out now to Ruben Diaz from left to right. Bruno Fernandes is waiting, outswing and delivery, looking for Ronaldo. It's over his head, cut back by Rafael Guerreiro, and then again by Ronaldo. I think Ghana are going to get a free kick in the end. Joao Felix slid in on Daniel O.A.T. But we said that they look in the first 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes. They're passing it around from right to left and all. I'm seeing a lot more long balls from them now, looking a bit more direct. I don't know if Fernando Santos has just realised, well, he probably has realised that Ghana are just going to be so compact in defence, and sometimes, in my opinion, these long balls sometimes lead to a bit of desperation, but they're just trying something different in a game that there's no signs of the deadlock being broken yet.
No, it's hard. They're trying different bits and pieces. Bernardo, though, it was a good long ball over the top, and he found Guerreiro. Unfortunately for him, Ronaldo was studying his way. Ronaldo thought that ball was meant for him, and then he flung his arms at mid-air, and he wasn't even aware that Guerreiro was on the overlap and able to get the cutback in. And of course, the cutback hit Ronaldo. That might have been tapped in for 1-0, and then we're all saying, great ball. They finally unpicked the lock. You need a little bit of luck sometimes as well, don't you? There's no doubt that Ghana are well organised, getting stuck in. I mean, I doff my cap to Otto Addo. He's given him a route for success, if you like, or to get a point at the very least. But I still just think he's a bit too defensive-minded, and they're going to be undone. But it's not easy.
No, and I suppose when we look at defensive lineups, the one that strikes out at the moment is maybe Iran against England. They just set back from the off, intending to maybe just keep the score to as little as possible. It didn't pay off.
They had no outball, though, did they? Not at all. For Ghana,
a lot more talent.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing Kudus and Ayew hold on to ball well. Iñaki Williams, when he's been fed in, he hairs off into different parts of the field, inside right, inside left, lung bursting runs, so they can put the ball long. But here Portugal pick it up again, and they're off again, just the edge of the area.
It was a loose ball from Ghana. They've been relatively good in possession. It's giving a chance for Portugal to come forward again. Bernardo Silva on the edge of the area, looks for Bruno Fernandes. Joao Cancelo's found a bit of space to get a ball in, swings it towards the near post, cleared by Salisu. Yeah, just didn't get a lot of height on the delivery. I think everyone in the box was expecting it to go on their head. Didn't get anywhere near that in the end. But it falls back with Ruben Neves. Cancelo might get another chance to get a better delivery in this time. Looks for Otavio on the overlap. I think he just ended up looking to the back post, mishit it. No real panic that it was going to end up in the back of the net. It goes over the crossbar in the 45th minute now, and of course if it stays this way, which we hope it doesn't as a neutral, it does mean that each 4 teams in this group would of course be on 1 point, no goals scored, no goals conceded, whereas we were before today started.
Yeah, exactly. But we know a little bit more. What we knew right at the start was that this is a tough group. It's the group where anything could happen and nothing would surprise you. Portugal would be the favourites perhaps to go through the group, but again we know it's difficult. And in this game, Portugal have played their better brand of football for my money, and I still think they're going to win it by 2 clear goals. But like I said, it's not going to be easy. If you get that early first goal, as England found out, it's the gift that keeps on giving that, because then the opposition are forced to do something, and even break their shape to some degree. Ghana have played well enough here that they don't have to do that. As Kudus there, the poor challenge on Cancelo. I don't know if he picked up a yellow for that, but
yeah, I think he did in the end. Yeah, just a high boot really from Kudus. Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it, that when the deadlock does get broken, if it does, then it's a case of maybe more the floodgates being opened after that.
Oh, if Ghana needed to hold the shape and not just sit back and defend, I think they'd be in big trouble here and get picked off. But until Portugal grab a goal, and that's if they don't get counted on and Ghana score first, then then it's looking good for Ghana.
Full marks for anyone that guessed it. Only be 2 minutes of added time in this one. We've already seen 1 minute pass us by. It's a free kick for Ghana in their own penalty area. Joao Felix had tripped up Seydou. So seconds will tick away in. Not a lot, event-wise at least, in the first half.
Well, I'm loath to give Ghana any great credit, because I've got a piece of paper and I've written down some Portugal chances. I've literally written nothing down for Ghana, but it is what it is. If they deem that Portugal are the best team in this group and they want to get a point from it, and they do, then fair play. That's how you work your way through tournaments.
You've just got to frustrate the opposition. really, as Ghana have. I imagine that Fernando Santos will want to make the most of these 15 minutes to just get into his players, maybe try something different, because what they have tried at the moment, it hasn't entirely worked. As for Ghana, nothing to talk about on the attacking sense, but plenty of praise for their defensive solidity. Only a few seconds left in this one. It's passing it around the defence are Portugal. Cancelo into Diaz, out to Danilo Pereira, who of course often plays in midfield rather than defence today. But it's the defence of Ghana at the moment who should receive the credit. It's goalless at half-time. Not many chances in it for, well, none for Ghana, of course. Very few for Portugal. A handful for Cristiano Ronaldo. Not really any clear-cut opportunities. Of course, the other game in this group did finish goalless. Here's what this one stands at the moment. At half-time, it's Portugal 0, Ghana 0.
Ghana will perhaps be the happier of the two teams.
I think they'd be chuffed with it, yeah, especially with the draw from the other game. But you said it yourself that it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world if you lost this one, just because you'd be 1 point behind the other two. But they still want something out of this game, and they're definitely showing it defensively at least. Portugal seeing so much of the ball. We saw it with Germany where they had a lot, and they couldn't find the back. I mean, they had to get a penalty in the end for Gundogan to eventually score. But Portugal have got a lot more talent that are leading the line in the attack, but they haven't been able to break the deadlock yet. Otavio's going to try and get the ball in. I think he might have got a touch off Thomas Partey. It's a goal kick to Ghana anyway, but I mean, we've seen a minute of the second half already. Otavio's frustrated. Let's see how much that builds as time goes on if they don't find a goal soon.
Yeah, Otavio's been the weak link for me out of the Portuguese side there. He just waiting for a chance to come from Thomas Partey. Made me laugh just before kick-off. Graham Souness saying this would be the testing ground for him. Seen him being great a long time before we saw him in the Premier League in La Liga. He was superb playing, like, you know, as if he needs to prove anything to anybody. Anyway, they've got work to do then. Abdul Samad there having a fight, but Bruno's stronger than he looks, and he holds him off relatively well. I'll stick by what I said in the first half, and I think that Portugal win by 2 clear goals. You'd look at that and you'd scratch your chin a bit, maybe, Ben, but I just think eventually they'll get through it, and when they do, it'll become that bit easier. But yeah, it's one way you'd be thinking maybe I'll keep my powder dry though as well, you know, in terms of betting.
Well, I think what it is it probably isn't going to end 1-0, is what it is. If someone opens the deadlock, we might see finally the floodgates begin, and the goals will seep through.
Well, that's it. One brings a few, doesn't it? That'd be the hope, but we'd be happy with one. I don't care where it comes from now. Anyway, playing out from the back, there's a nice little bit of control there as O.A.T just pulled that ball down and then made some ground. He can dribble with the ball. He, let's say, used to playing right back as well as centre back. He makes a nice triangle. Seydou gets going, and then he's stopped in his tracks there. Aliou Seydou just chopped down by Guerreiro, who didn't want to let him get anywhere near the halfway line. Lest we forget, you know, Portugal have got defending to do as well so far, probably because you know, Diogo Costa's not had anything to do. We can sort of forget it, but just for the moment. Well, Ayew's offside then when that ball was played, and even had he managed to make his run stick, it would have accounted for nothing. And then a terrible foul in the middle of the park, and an immediate yellow card there. And I think Andre Ayew just chopping away there at Otavio, and I think he deserved the yellow card he got there.
Yeah, but he's just kicked him in the back of the legs, which, yeah, there's no need for it, because it's not like he slipped or he's lost control. The ball, Otavio's between the ball and Ayew, and he still tried to go right through Otavio to get the ball. He's gone down in his own pain. I don't know what's happened. He's holding his eye. I don't know if he got a nick off something. But yeah, it's a fair yellow card. Second for Ghana after Kudus in the first half. Well, Portugal look like they're already going to make a change. It's William Carvalho that's going to be ready to come on. I don't know who that would be for. It could be for Otavio, but that might result in Ruben Neves going a bit more advanced.
I think so. I think I'd want to see Neves pick a pocket. Today might be the day for a long shot from the edge of the area, and rather than have him holding midfield here, get Carvalho there. Clearly, we saw Otavio trying to roll around Thomas Partey. Wasn't strong enough to do that. Not many would be, but anyway, and nor did he have the pace or skill. As Cancelo makes a little break, there's a shoulder into him. He went down a bit too easily, though. At least according to the referee there, Rahman maybe didn't get the touch that we thought he did, as Kudus picks it up now. He's been too quiet, but it's been about defending us. Again, Ayew is offside. Anyway, second to it because Ruben Diaz is better than him. Runs away with the ball. I think they need to bring his brother on. For me, he's got a bit more about him. There, for the second time in about 5 minutes, he's rolled offside when the ball's played to him. They haven't had that much ball anyway, but to be offside at that point is a sort of scandal, really.
Yeah, and Jordan Ayew, he's a cracking little player for Palace, isn't he? Because he's not a prolific striker, but he just runs into the wing. Sometimes he drops deep. He's good with the ball at his feet. He really is, and he can create things as much as he can find goals for himself. Obviously, they're not making a change yet, but Portugal are. I'm just wondering what you think about it, because I think he was readied. There's about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes gone in the second half. Why wouldn't you make that a half time? I don't know, because very little's changed in this second half. In fact, what's happened more maybe is that Ghana are getting a bit more of the ball. But to not make that change at half time and make it only a few minutes later, it's a peculiar one.
Yeah, I think so. I just wonder if Santos is thinking, well, they promised me they'll come out after the break and do this, that, the other, but they're not doing it. Sedu picks up the ball now. Ghana on the attack, and he beats his man. Gets the byline. What's the cross line? It's a decent looking ball in and through the box, but it spits up, and then eventually well defended. Baba Ratman, probably not the kind of ball he was after. Did a good chance there through Sedu to pick a better ball, but in the end, just a shot of adrenaline, and he got too much on it.
Maybe he's just not used to getting down that side a lot, because it's probably the furthest Sedu's been the entire game. Probably the first ball into the box outside of those corners. There's 2 in a matter of minutes in the first half. When you're obviously the team that's getting less of the ball, and in the final third especially, you've got to just make it perfect when you do bring it forward, because you're not going to get many chances. I mean, you're looking at Iñaki Williams, he's got a bit of height on him as well. He'll be frustrated that that's not right on his head. There's a dive in the end there from João Cancelo. It's a chance for Ghana on the break. Yeah, they've got options here.
Iñaki Williams trying to break the line, but the ball goes left to Kudus instead. Iñaki Williams in the box waiting, and so is Andre Ayew. The ball goes just backwards for Abdul Samad. Ball now to Kudus at the byline, puts the ball in. It's come off a Portuguese head. That will be a corner.
And maybe a chance to get the cross right on this occasion. I don't know what Cancelo's thinking there, because it's outside. Well, I know he's not trying to get a penalty because it's so far outside the box, but is it worth diving to get a free kick in that area? It was such a poor dive.
Did he dive, or was he really clipped?
Yeah, we haven't seen a replay of it, but
no, we haven't. I mean, it looked a bit iffy, but I thought, well, if sometimes it's like saying, look, I've been fouled here, so I'm going to go down, so that's happened. He's not necessarily cheating, but he's just over-egging his pudding. Yeah. But there, ref's just gone, no, I'm not interested in that. Anyway, it's a corner kick. It's an opportunity then if they can deliver a decent ball in. And so Baba Ratman puts a good ball in. It's contested though, and not being cleared. It's up in the air a while, and Salisu was sort of won the first end. The ball breaks back out, and then again it's piled in by Sedu. It's not a good ball. Long ball for Portugal now is poor as well. And the game just losing its way just a touch, Ben.
Yeah, Ronaldo's just tried to make, Bruno Fernandes, just tried to make a run on the near side. Otavio, he's had a few long balls as Otavio. They've not been on the money. I'm surprised they haven't made the change yet, Portugal, because there's been a few times the ball's been out of play. Diego Costa's come out to be the sweeper keeper. It's well dealt with in the end by Danilo Pereira as well, but he is dispossessed eventually by Andre Ayew.
Doing well enough there. Otavio's having a bit of a nightmare in that he's trying to get on the ball and affect the game, but it seems every time he does something, it doesn't work out. His pass is misplaced. His little dribble, he was picked up by Thomas Partey. We said maybe he's the man feeling under pressure because you've seen Carvalho. Have they put William Carvalho away now? Was somebody feeling a niggle? Is that the reason for all that? It seemed like a change was going to be made, and then Santos has kind of gone back on it. Anyway, ball won out the field by Otavio. A real opportunity now. Ronaldo scampering into the box. He goes. Can he get his shot away? Drives onto his left foot. And it's a tame effort, really, attempt to blocked away. And then some good defending at the edge of his own box by Seydou. Little Marseille turn, buys him time. And then Kudus, a brilliant turn from him. And they've got 4 against 4 now. He's got the ball still in at his feet. Neves can't get to him. He goes for a strike. Oh, and he's not too far away. Held on maybe for too long there, I'm just thinking. But he always had the legs of Neves. Look at the Ghanaian fans getting excited. But the ball didn't hit the back of the net. It was wide.
It was, but it's probably one of the most exciting moments of the game. He had options. He had Iñaki Williams ahead of him. He had an option out left as well. I think it was Andre Ayew. But he scored from that distance already this season. I remember he scored an absolute corker against Rangers in the Champions League with his left from a similar area. Across the face of goal. It just goes past the post. But just seeing the manager there as well, he's just riling up, well, his own players on the bench, but the players on the pitch as well. Maybe it is Otavio that was going to come off, not only because of what we've seen, but he is needing the attention of the physios at the moment on the pitch. Maybe that'll mean William Carvalho comes on now. He is there, ready on the touchline. Yeah, it is that Ottavio off for William Carvalho. But it's a great chance for Ghana. In these 10 minutes, they've come forward more than they have in the first 45. But they still seem to just have that defensive solidity. They're just opening up their side of the pitch a bit more now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they're growing into the game where after a while, yeah, you talked about Portugal getting frustrated, and we're seeing signs of that. They're, just throwing perhaps too many bodies forward at different times, or imbalancing themselves. That Ghana break there with Kudus with 4 against 4, and it just allowed him, to think, right, well, hang on, Neves is not getting back with me, so I'm going to have a strike here. And nobody else was going to come and challenge him, and that allowed him to get the shot away. I know it was wide, but that flown in the back of the net, we'd have said it was brilliant play. And again, their manager Ottavio, it looks like you lack conviction when you're there with the back 5, but there's method in that madness, and his front 3 are still there, still trying to keep a shape, still supporting attacks. When they get half a chance, they all fire forward, those 3 guys. So it's not like they're all just sat in hoping against hope that they can hang on to a clean sheet. They've got more ambition than that. Still 0-0, still Portugal dominating stages of play. Sedu goes to the back of João Felix, and he's going to get a yellow card. He caught Ronaldo 5 minutes ago as well, so it's accumulation as much as anything else.
It is, yeah. It's just such a daft challenge to make. Felix, he's going nowhere. He's already going to pass it back to one of his defenders. So Ghana especially Saidu in particular, he's just got to keep his shape. Because he's being shoved away in the end by a teammate. I think he was just trying to remonstrate with the referee. Ruben Diaz has come over now as well. I don't know if he gave a reaction to João Felix. I think it was. I mean, they had a bit of handbags. They've just lent each other's foreheads in. Saidu's thrown his forehead into the face of João Felix. It's just all so unnecessary. It's total nonsense, because Felix, he's passing it back to defence. All you got to do is get the shape back from Ghana. He goes through the back of Felix, gets a yellow card, and now he's put his head into João Felix. I don't know what the referee's doing at the moment.
I think here
he's got his yellow card out again.
Well,
unless he's just writing the name of Saidu. I don't know what's.
Well, they're telling Saidu to go away, but the referee's moseying towards Saidu, calls him to him. He's going to have a word with him. He's given a yellow card, and then Saidu gets involved again. Now, I don't think there was much contact between him and João Felix, but he got in too deep. He allowed Felix to do that, and he should just have taken it and moved on, but he couldn't. So then he goes, has his confrontation with João Felix, like, you're cheating, mate. The two going head to head, but then he just has a little. He's dead lucky not to have got a second yellow, got sent off there. And he's actually been coming into the game a lot more this second half, but really silly what he's done there. And I just think you can't. I think he's got away with one there, to be honest with you.
Oh no, absolutely. I can understand why Ismail Al-Fath hasn't maybe given the yellow card, just because, well, one, he's just given one, but two, I think he just wanted to get his point across by saying you are really on your last chance now, because you've just lost your head there. And last chance saloon. He said he's been more involved going forward on that right flank. A few decisions when he's had the ball at his feet, that cross was overhit. He tried a strike from distance from that corner, went well wide. He's just got to be careful, Saidu, because a few of his decisions have gone a bit wayward, especially that one. I mean, that's the worst of all, leaning his head into Felix. Because did the referee see it? He had a word with Saidu. I don't know the fourth. It was right by the fourth official as well. In fact, I should say that as well.
Well, I don't know what VAR doesn't look at, but I guess it didn't look at that. I think it looks at the things he missed, because he didn't give a free kick for that, because it was after the free kick. I don't know whose responsibility that is, but that's just me. I don't understand.
I don't know if it may be because he pushes his head as opposed to actually trying to headbutt. If there was if the contact was made when he actually butted Felix instead of leaning his head in, maybe that's what the red card offence would be.
Well, I tell you what, Sidhu's just. He hasn't been sent. The ball given away to João Felix now into the box. Oh, his touch is terrible. Can Bruno turn now? No, he can't. And eventually they work their way away from a dangerous area. Bernardo now tries to keep the ball alive. Sedhu's going to get taken off now, because Lamptey is about to come on. So undoubtedly, I think his rashness will have cost him his place in this lineup as Portugal try and roll around the back. There was their shoulder in on Bernardo. I think he's looking for it. He nicks the ball away. I don't think Salisa can make himself invisible at that point. I think the referee's done quite well there.
No, I totally agree. I think it's a heavy touch from Bernardo Silva. He knows that. And then when it's gone away from him, he's just tried to run into Salisu, try and get a free kick, because he knows the chance was gone for Portugal. I mean, in the end, Iñaki Williams earns a free kick against Ruben Diaz. And yeah, you mentioned Tariq Lamptey's going to come on. I mean, given his Premier League experience and how solid he is for Brighton, you wonder why maybe he wasn't appearing from the beginning. It looked like there was another one as well, Osman Bukhari. They haven't made the changes yet. Well, in fact, I think they're going to now. They tried to take a quick free kick. I think it's because it was in a too advanced of a position. Yeah, they go back into the defensive half to take it.
Well, I'd take their captain off for Bukhari, but I don't think they'll do that. You're a bit of a talisman, Andre Ayew. But anyway, those changes haven't been made yet. But Osman Bukhari plays for Red Star Belgrade. He's at high standard, just 23 years of age. 7 games, just a 1 goal for the Black Stars. The ball goes all the way back then to Diogo Costa. Portugal 0, Ghana 0. And although we haven't had the goalmouth drama, we've had drama, haven't we? It's exciting, and it reminds you, even in these 0-0 encounters, there's so much to play for. There's a nervous tension about games. You want to get off to that winning start. Not vital in this group because the earlier game was a draw, but it's like that battle to be top dogs. You win the first game, you're thinking if everybody else just draws here and after, then we've done it already. It could be as simple as that. Anyway, just for the moment, Portugal trying to get something going. Yeah, Felix little ball through his legs, then Ronaldo into the box, dives.
Oh.
And the referee's pointed to the spot. And the Ghanaian defender's pointing to the rise. I thought he dived there. Yeah, what do you think?
I totally agree, John. He's if there is contact, it's totally minimal. Look at Salisu there.
He gets there about the same time as Ronaldo.
You see, I mean, I'm looking back to former players here. I won't name names, but there were certainly some attackers that would lean their leg into a defender. They would initiate the contact, and then they would go down. And more often than not, the referees would buy it. That was pre-VAR. We've got VAR now. I mean, of course, the Ghana players are going to rush to the referee to say, go and have a look. He should have a look at this. It's totally the wrong decision. But we're not without controversy. Are we really with referee decisions? Well, we just don't know anymore whether he might keep his on-field decision, which would be the totally wrong decision. But
it's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker. And you know what? They've given the penalty. Ronaldo's put the ball down. Salisa's by the side of him. They're shoulder to shoulder. Salisa gets the first touch and knocks the ball away from him. And then we see Ronaldo jump onto the ground. It looked like a dive from the angle that we saw it. Where the referee has seen something different and given it, why didn't he then take a look? Why does the VAR referee not say to him, do you want to take another look at this just to make sure? Or do they only say that when it's like saying, well, we think you've got it wrong? I think he needed to take a look at that. He's got one angle in a snapshot. He thinks he's got it right. He hasn't. Anyway, why is VAR not asking him to take a look? Ronaldo puts the ball down. It is going to be a penalty. Lawrence Ati Ziggy, the St. Gallen goalkeeper now, will be hoping he could be the hero. Does Ronaldo really believe that he deserves to get this hat-trick? I've seen Lewandowski have a penalty saved, one that he shouldn't have got, one that he didn't even appeal for. Sometimes when they know they don't deserve it, you don't see a good spot kick. But anyway, 64 minutes on the clock, Portugal 0, Ghana 0. But Ronaldo now about to take a penalty kick. He's stood in the deep, just taking all in around him. Referee's making a right meal out of this. Ismail El Fath almost putting Ronaldo off, really, with all his shenanigans. But he blows his whistle. So are we going to get a goal? Little stippy tap then from Ronaldo, thumps it into the back of the net. Goalkeeper gets the right way, but you can't stop those. It's a superb penalty.
It is a superb penalty. I mean, the keeper goes the right way, but it's got enough height on it to go ahead of him. Plenty of pace and power. I just don't think it should be a penalty, John. We've said it both. You mentioned Lewandowski as well. Do the players of this prestige and this level sort of get that extra bit of an opinion from the referee, thinking, oh, if he's gone down, has he sort of earned it because of the calibre that they are? Ghana didn't even make those substitutions before. I think they maybe had a chance to, and they didn't. I mean, it was Salisu that allegedly committed the foul. I've seen another replay of it here. I mean, there's boot-to-boot contact. The way Ronaldo goes down, and he puts his leg almost in between Salisu's two to just convince the ref even further. But the decision's been made. Ronaldo didn't make the decision. The referee did, and then VAR decided to not make a decision. So you got to give credit for the penalty on Ronaldo. He's been quiet.
Well, just looking at that again, Ben, I thought Salisu got the first touch. He didn't. Ronaldo just touched it away from him, but even so,
It's minimal contact.
Salisu's trying to pull away from it. He, you know, if you turn the ball away and then dive on the ground, it still doesn't make it a penalty in my book. Salisu did everything just within. You know, we're talking about that the VAR penalty that England didn't get. A rugby tackle on somebody inside the box. You know, the ball wasn't quite there for them. But even so, there you're just seeing a man run up sides, try and pull out of a major challenge, strike for the ball. He's not diving across, sticking his leg across Ronaldo. You're not doing any of those things. You know, it's just physical play. It is still a contact sport, I believe. Anyway, it doesn't matter what I think about that because it's 1-0. And you know, I think that you know I think we'd both like to see Ghana somehow get back into this game, but they've sat a little bit deep to defend. They've got a chance now. The shot comes in. It's taking a big deflection. It makes it easy for Diogo Costa. So yeah, Lamptey now he's on, and so too the number 11, and that's Osman Bukhari. So we're just seeing who's come off there. We suspect one is Seydou, then not sure it's the other. Andre Ayew still looks like he's on. Is Iñaki Williams still on? So then is it Kudus the other side? I don't know. They haven't told us that. They might not have made the double change just yet. Anyway, we know that Lamptey's on. That's all we know right now. So 67 minutes in, 3/4 of the game gone, and albeit by a very sort of circuitous and fortuitous route. It is Portugal 1, Ghana 0. You're listening to Independent Off-Tube Studio commentary from myself, John Hogan, and now to take us through to full time is Ben White.
Cheers, John. Yeah, you joined me at a time in recent minutes. There's certainly been a bit of controversy about the opener. Ronaldo on the ball. He is, of course, the goal scorer, just as he was 8 years ago when he got the winner against Ghana back in Brazil. As it stands, he would be the one to be the difference maker 8 years on. Here is Mohamed Kudus, deep inside Portugal's territory, back inside now. You'd imagine that Ghana are going to see a lot more of the ball now that they are 1 goal behind. They've looked solid when they've come forward, as Thomas Partey tries to strike from range. High, wide, not very handsome. It was well over the crossbar. But, well, you said it earlier, John, in the sense that when the goal does eventually come, it's going to open up. We're seeing it now with Ghana trying to come forward. And well, from then on, it doesn't take a lot for Portugal to win the ball back, try and get things going again, and they could double the lead. All very hypothetical, but we said that this probably wouldn't end 1-0. I don't think it will. There's going to be goals in this still.
Well,
we don't know who yet.
I said that I thought Portugal would win by 2 clear goals, but I feel desperately sorry for the Black Stars that the first one conceded in that sort of manner. You know, essentially by I thought a poor refereeing decision, and then VAR without the cojones to pull him up, maybe because it's a Ronaldo goal. It shouldn't matter whose goal it was or whose nose would be put out of joint by it. You know, do they think that the World Cup must needs have Ronaldo in the latter stage? I don't know, but between the officials, they've made a right hash of it. Let's hope Ghana can use that. You know, use that sense to sort of put some fuel in the tank. I mean, let's face it, they've not gone out there to try and win the game. They tried really to try and contain, and it forced them out. Maybe they can do better if they go on the attack now.
Yeah, and well, we've seen a few penalties being missed in this tournament already. I mean, namely Robert Lewandowski, Alphonso Davies as well yesterday against Belgium. I mean, Canada had quite a few opportunities to get a few extra penalties. I see some similarities in the one we've just seen with Ronaldo and Salisu, and I believe it was Laria. And he went down under the challenge of the Belgian defender in similar circumstances. That one wasn't given. They did check it with VAR, I think, but they kept it with the on-field decision.
The weird thing about the referee is that so many times, you know, we saw Bernardo go down, he'd run into a challenge. João Cancelo, you said dived, we weren't certain, and then he didn't show us that again. So he seemed to be picking the fight that maybe Portugal would try to win free kicks. the biggest one of all, the most important one of all, he gets wrong. That's when you need VAR to back you up. I wouldn't have minded if he'd have gone to look and said, no, actually, I still think I'm right. At least if he'd had that look. Because from the angle he saw it, it may have looked terrible. And I think he's the other side where Ronaldo goes down, you think, well, it must have been a bad touch then. It wasn't. And he has not seen what we've seen.
Ball forward from Ronaldo. Salisu this time does get ahead of the Portuguese attack. It was João Felix on this occasion. Yeah, pre-VAR, and I know we're going on about this a fair bit now, but and there's 20 minutes left to go in this one before added time. But yeah, pre-VAR, you'd sometimes say, oh, the referee wasn't positioned well enough to see the contact. I think that's the point you're making, that Salisu might have been in between. But that doesn't matter anymore, because you've got an infinite number of cameras in the stadium, got people with the monitors elsewhere looking at the incidents in slow motion, frame by frame.
It's such a lonely place. If you're the referee, you get one chance to see it from whichever angle you've seen it. You don't get any help from the players at all, or indeed from the crowd. So what do you get then? What can aid you make a better decision? That's if somebody can say, well, actually, look at this from different angles, and if you still think it's a penalty, fair enough.
Could just strike from range, a thunderous effort, but no real direction to it. Goes comfortably into the hands of Diogo Costa. He launches it forward quickly, but Daniel O.A.T can get it back into Ghana's possession. Of course, they've had a bit of penalty heartbreak here, I suppose, but maybe the most famous of all was 12 years ago, back in 2010. It was a penalty of their own, really, when Luis Suarez handled the ball on the line that essentially prevented Ghana, and indeed the first African nation, from reaching the semi-finals of a World Cup. Mohamed Kudus is in, he squares it too. Andre Ayew, and they've got an equaliser only a few minutes after a dubious decision goes against them. What a bit of character this is from the Ghanaians. A ball over the top that Mohamed Kudus gets onto, he squares it, and it's a simple tap-in for Andre Ayew. We've mentioned he could have been coming off only a few minutes ago. He stayed on the pitch, and at the moment he's the one that's got the equaliser.
Well, yeah, we talked about him being a talisman. I didn't think he had a good first half. We saw him second half running offside, and you just think, oh, come on, mate. But you know what? Stick in the mixer. You never know what might happen. We've already talked about the credentials of Kudus. It's a good little break, and there's loads of movement before that goal. Kudus then into the box, and they'd really fallen asleep at Portugal. And in the end, when the cross comes in, it's a simple knock-in. It's actually gone through the legs of one of the defenders there. Yeah, they needed to do better. Danilo, midfielder by trade, but that could happen to anybody really. Once they break to the byline and the cutback comes in, that ball can go anywhere. And Ayew's waiting like a good player, just waiting in the middle to tap in if that ball comes to me. He's willing it onto his boot, and there he just smashes in from close range.
Oh, what a moment that is, after, well, in the eyes of the Ghana team, and of course their manager, Otto Addo, Field, they felt rather unfortunate to have gone behind, but to get back in the game immediately in what has really been only one of, maybe their only clear-cut opportunity. I know that Kudus had a strike from range. He's had two, in fact, from a similar position. The second one was only about 30 seconds prior to Ghana eventually getting their equaliser. It's one of the few examples where they've just got that ball into the box. And it's as you say, it's a miscontrol from Danilo Pereira, almost acts as a second ball in the end, and Andre Ayew was Johnny on the spot to tap it in from only a few yards out. And we said it wouldn't finish 1-0. I suppose at that stage we're thinking, oh well, maybe that would end up 2-0 to Portugal. But there you go, right back in it now.
Yeah, they are. It's weird, isn't it, what football does? Did Portugal think they'd done enough at 1-0? Oh, we've nicked it now. Is that it? Do we switch off? Well, yes, they did. They did switch off. And then for Ghana, you think, well, if the Black Stars had got more ambition from the get-go, could they have grabbed more chances, grabbed more goals? They've got one. They've only been trying for 10 minutes or so. Do you know what I mean? They've been defensive, and we knew that they had a counter-attack, and they were doing all right with that. But it never looked potent, and I literally nothing written down in the first half in terms of their attacks. But they've got some good offensive players, and so why, now they're bristling with ambition. They've got one back now. They're looking for the win, and the game looks great now because both teams are really going hard at it. So this is the kind of football game we really wanted. Anyway, we talk about goals making games exciting. They sure do, and this game now is in the lap of the gods. But just to say that, it's just signs again of Portugal getting control of the game again.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is sort of a deja vu of what happened in the first half. Just goes over the head of João Felix, passing around the back and then getting the ball into the box over the head of everybody. Portugal are at square one again, really. And, well, that's Ghana, of course. It's only their first game in this World Cup competition. Their first goal of the 2022 World Cup. They missed out in 2018. It's been 8 years in the making. It's been 8 years in the making for Andre Ayew as well. It's his third goal in the World Cup. The other two coming in that 2014 competition in Brazil, and after only getting an assist 2 minutes ago, it's going to be Mohamed Kudus to come off. Be interested to see if he was going to be the one to originally be the, well, in fact, Andre Ayew is going to be the other player to come off. Bruno Fernandes rushes towards him to try and shove him off the touchline. But he has to hand the captain's armband over to Thomas Partey, so it does look like the two players involved in the goal, Mohamed Kudus and Andre Ayew, will come off. Essentially their last action in the game was to get Ghana right back in it.
Well, Jordan Ayew's going to come on now, isn't he? So one Ayew replaces another one. That's nice, isn't it?
Yep, and Bakari, the other player. And
that's right.
Yeah, Portugal are going to make a substitution as well as an attacking one. Rafael Leao is of AC Milan, of course. Current holders of Serie A is coming on for Ruben Neves. Obviously a very attacking change. We've only got a quarter of an hour left in this one, notwithstanding the well, whatever added time we do get on. But yeah, Rafael Leao is on the pitch, as are the two new Ghanaian players. They've got a new lease of life of Ghana in possession. Good ball lofted over from Thomas Partey. Jordan Ayew making a use of himself against Danilo Pereira. But there you go. It's a loose touch to go straight to João Felix. He dinks it over the goalkeeper. And we were just mentioning earlier that if they were to get back in the game, Portugal might bring the tap on yet again. And they've caught themselves open on the counter-attack of Ghana. It's a simple ball through into João Felix. It goes through the legs of Baba Rahman. And just like that, the floodgates have opened. We've seen 3 goals, 2 for Portugal, 1 for Ghana.
I don't know what to do with this game, Ben.
Yeah.
It's exasperating, isn't it? You know, I said I felt that Portugal will win by 2 clear goals. You know, they've only just clawed their way ahead. You know, when they got that lucky penalty that, as we thought, Ronaldo put it in, I just thought, oh, I'd love Ghana to get back in. But in getting back in here, they've been carved apart. I've got to say that they've got to do better. You know, they've got one man playing everybody on side, Jiku. You know, if you're playing a back 3, then they've got to be in a line. And he's just allowing João Felix then to burst past his man. It's a nice tidy finish from him. But the keeper comes out, he's never getting there close to that angle. You know, he's got a lot of time to think about it, just chips it up in the air and into almost the centre of the net. It's a good goal from João Felix. It's really poor defending the, like I said, the back 3 like a dog's hind leg there, and that's not the way to do it. But we thought the game would open up, and as soon as you get goals, that's it. One goal brings another. And all those celebrations for Ghana, they were celebrating as the ball was going in the back of the net. And Ayew couldn't believe that. Andre Ayew's just scored his goal, then he looks on.
Yeah, you don't see that often, do you, John? Yeah, Andre Ayew was just celebrating with his teammates that were on the bench, and he gets a tap on the shoulder. He turns around and he sees João Felix wheeling away, giving Portugal their second goal. And we can be critical of the defence because it was just a simple ball, really, that goes through the legs of Baba Rahman. But full credit to João Felix. He's a man, of course, under pressure, at least in club football. It's not going his way at Atletico Madrid. Rumours of maybe him being put up for sale by Diego Simeone. It's a chance for him to prove his worth in the World Cup, and he's just done that really with a rather astute finish, dinking it over the Ghana keeper. And Portugal are going to come forward again here. It's 4-on-3. Bruno Fernandes laying it off to Rafael Leao, and if he has kept his run on side, I think he has. He's made it 3-1. Ghana are at 6s and 7s now. It's almost as if getting that equaliser has been the reason that they've just fallen apart, because it was another Portugal break. Ghana were just didn't have the bodies back. Bruno Fernandes, full credit to him. He was full of patience. Andre Ayew was just looking on. Now, only a few minutes ago he was jubilant. The defence don't know how to react. They're looking at everybody when they should be looking at themselves. Great ball from Bruno Fernandes. One of Rafael Leao's first touches is to send it into the far corner, and it's game over now, isn't it?
Yeah, let's take another look at it. I mean, Ghana were on the ball, but it was won well by João Felix, who's having quite the half. You know, yeah, it's a simple effort, really. Again, you know, the back 3 is all over the place. Salisu now just not in the line with his colleagues. That just allows Leao to, break the line and pick his spot. I mean, he's by himself in the box when he takes his strike. First time, and I like that he sits it into the ground. He's making that ball bobble and bounce in front of the keeper, making life more difficult. Fancy that, your first touch in the World Cup game, you just putting the ball in the back of the net. Not bad, eh?
Not bad at all. It was tight. I think it's essentially a debate as to whether Salisu has kept Rafael Leao onside or not. I think he has. Yeah, the ball's back in play. It is confirmed to be a goal. No offside there. Andre Ayew just threw his water bottle in frustration. I mean, when he went off as a substitute, it was still 1-1. All of a sudden, we're at 3-1 to Portugal. The floodgates certainly have opened in this game. 82nd minute now. Unofficial off-tube studio commentary with Ghana trying to come forward just to get maybe back into the match, but they're leaving themselves so exposed now in defence. Bruno Fernandes nearly getting it off to Rafael Leao. There's been plenty of criticisms over Portugal's manager Fernando Santos over the years. He, for the opinions of many in the Iberian nation, he's not getting the best out of his players. It's took some time for them to get going in this match, but certainly seeing the talent on show now. He's been at the helm for quite a long period of time. Of course, he's the one responsible for, well, at least for being manager, for winning Euro 2016, UEFA Nations League, the very first one. But there's a lot of youth now in this team. You're looking at Rafael Leao, who's certainly grown with age. He's looking really talented at AC Milan. There's plenty of others in the side as well. It's a good start to the tournament. Of course, they will go top of the group if it stays this way, on 3 points. Ghana 0 with South Korea and Uruguay on a point apiece. It looks like Ronaldo was offside there. They're going to keep the flag down. Giku's pressing him. He is one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He tries to dink it over just like Joao Felix did. The keeper makes a fantastic save, but there we go. Flag does go up. Retrospectively, of course, they do have to wait for the play to end. It did look like he was offside.
Well, he was never onside in that move. I tell you what, Amati did his best there, hanging a leg out over the halfway line. He didn't finish it anyway. It didn't really matter. But he knew he was offside. He's just going to eat away at the clock a little bit there. Leao, he's just 23. I haven't seen much of him, but his first touch there was impeccable. I'll take it on, not over embellish it. I just want to put it in the back of the net. I sort of like the fact that he scuffed the ball. You see many first touch, I've got a chance at goal, it blazes over, just get the job done. And that's what he did. Portugal looking good now, aren't they? They've got a lot of talent in the team. And I just think that when the game gets stretched and open, that they've gotten a chance as Joao Felix goes down. I think he's been with Los Colchoneros too long. One of their trademarks is a bit of play acting and messing about. Referee's taking time off the goal. It's not the first time in the game that he's gone down holding his face, but did he get anything there? Maybe just got the point of the elbow of Salisu, so in fairness to him, he would go down, but it was just a jostle.
Yeah, and I think that I see this debate a lot now, really, when a player feels contact on the face. It just comes down to who's taller, because Salisu can't really get his arms any lower. It's not his fault that he's that tall. He's just trying to sugar. If he was against Ronaldo, for example, that'd be shoulder to shoulder. But even though Joao Felix is just a little bit smaller than his striking partner, he's got it square in the face. I mean, we're looking at Ghana. That they got back into the game, conceded 2 goals. I don't know whether they've obviously lost some level of concentration. I think maybe more the loss of concentration between 2-1 and 3-1.
They got excited, and then they got emboldened by the goal that they scored. It was a good goal, and there's really good movement before that, and all that. They were celebrating a bit too much on the bench there, and that. And then the next time they're looking around on the field, they've lost the goal. They lost the composure. It's as simple as that. They had that shape, and then they broke the shape to get back in. Did they then need to reimpose their structure back? I think probably, maybe they did. It's a shame that, because what we're saying is that, when you play negative football, grinding football, it was doing it better than trying to open up. Because as soon as the game did open up, then, they've conceded 2 quick goals. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah,
I suppose the context of the game hasn't helped. Of course, in their opinion, it wasn't a penalty, and then they go a goal down, what they feel was scandalous, and then they get back into the game. Of course, you're going to be absolutely elated. You've sort of essentially got a goal against adversity, but whether you want to think this is a coincidence or not, the Ghana squad is actually the youngest one at the World Cup. Average age of 24.7 years. It's half a year younger than any other squad. So whether you think just that naivety has come into it after getting back into the game, read what you want, of course, the stat is there, but whether you want to believe that or not, it's...
I don't know. They got carried away though, didn't they? Just seemed like that, then dropped off. I think it's more a sort of a mental thing, really. So Lamptey came on. I mean, he was a wing back for a wing back. Nothing that much had changed. So I think just players that allow themselves that thought. Oh, we're sat all right in the table. We've got back into this now. Maybe even we can go on and win it. We've shown real quality to get that goal. And you're thinking all these thoughts instead of marking João Felix or watching what Portugal are doing, who have got some really savvy operators out there. Like we said, some of the clubs that these guys are at, they're all the top clubs. You don't get there by being a poor player. And they've just had the quality and in open play, broken play, being able to get Ghana off. It's a shame how it's unfolded, really, for the Black Stars, but that's the truth of it. Portugal have maybe more strength in depth and are better in key positions.
Yeah, they've shown glimmers of attacking burst, really, of Ghana. I mean, the game has really been in an attacking burst. There were 3 goals in 7 minutes between Andre Ayew's and Rafael Leao's. Fernando Santos is going to use his final 3 substitutions after William Carvalho and Rafael Leao coming on before. I think Palhinha of Fulham is going to come on. I think that Bernardo Silva's number was up there. He is one of them, as is João Felix, and the captain Cristiano Ronaldo are all going to come off. There'll be a triple change made by Santos. Yeah, so Palhinha will be one of those. João Mario as well, of course, of Benfica, and Gonçalo Ramos as well. So that'll be all 5 substitutions made by Fernando Santos. Of course, he thinks the job is done now, getting off some key players. We're looking towards what is, well, of course, every game in this group in particular is of paramount importance. Their next one is against Uruguay in only a matter of days. And, given it seems likely they've got the 3 points in the bag for this one, we'll be looking to try and get 3 points in the next. And, trying to make it as easy as possible for them to get into the knockout stages. Yeah,
they're probably going to put Ramos up top now. Gonçalo Ramos, 6'1", playing through the middle. Leao out inside left, and then everybody else just back into midfield and just pack it out. It's job done, isn't it? 3-1. We don't know how much added time. There shouldn't be too much. I don't remember any great, injuries or any big problems like that. Of course, we've had a lot of substitutions, and we've had a few goals as well. So that's still potentially 28 minutes. But no, what do you reckon? About 7 minutes?
Probably. I mean, the opinion of Kalina is that even sort of the pauses between goals and free kicks should be taken into account. Baba Rahman's come forward for Ghana here. He looks to the back post, where, well, Ghana have just got another goal back. They're right back in this one. There's only a few minutes left to go. It's Bakary, the substitution. Ironically, does Cristiano Ronaldo's celebration. He looks on. He's frustrated. Well, whether he's frustrated at Bakary stealing the celebration or whether Ghana have got themselves back in the game, there's a bit of panic. It's ironic, isn't it? Because, of course, Ghana made those substitutions, and only a few minutes later, Portugal had scored. Portugal have just made substitutions now, and this time the Black Stars have got themselves back in it.
Yeah, it's a great cross that from the left-hand side. And Bakary in the middle, waiting for the ball. It was a deflected ball in, but then a really cool finish. Listen, game back on. Like we said now, the Black Stars will be hoping that there's 11, 12 minutes on the clock when they get to 90. Oh, they can sense it's something there. And the game that was drab and boring the first half, and now it's got really exciting. The Black Stars are back in it at 3-2. It's weird, isn't it? The 2 captains, when Andre Ayew went off, they were celebrating, like job done. He looks back and there's a goal. Ronaldo goes off and he looks back, and Ghana have scored. There was a bit of messing about in the middle of the park there.
Yeah, Iñaki Williams and Danilo Pereira having a bit of a scuffle. I think Williams kicked out a little bit. The ref's got his yellow card out at the moment. He hasn't shown it to anyone at this stage. Danilo Pereira's really going for Iñaki Williams at the moment. Referee wants the 2 of them to come over. They're not compliant, so in the end the referee has to run over to them. Williams is still not listening to the referee. He wants both of them to come to him. They're still at it. Oh, Williams and Pereira, they've got to be careful because he's already got the yellow card out. They shake hands begrudgingly eventually. More begrudging from Danilo than Iñaki Williams.
There's a lot on it, isn't there? It's the World Cup and people absolutely lose their head and go crazy out there, and you just think, oh, come on, because it's the World Cup, you've got to keep your cool. They don't pick up silly cards. But they had a right old set too there, get a yellow card each. We didn't really see what it was. Iñaki Williams has got Danilo all the way over him there. He drags him down to the ground. He tries to hook him back in. And Iñaki Williams then kicks out at him. I thought because he got frustrated there, he fouled him about 8 times on the ground there, Danilo.
He didn't. Well, we were just talking about before the goal how much added time would be added. And with it being 3-2 now, Ghana are going to want every second to count. 9 minutes have been added. Salisu flicks it on into the box, looking for Jordan Ayew. Cleared by Pereira, then by William Carvalho. Goodness me, how this game has changed. There's still 8 minutes left in this one. You'd assume 9, given that first minute was given for the battle between Iñaki Williams and Danilo Pereira. In the end, it goes out for a Portugal goal kick. Still at it are Danilo Pereira and Iñaki Williams. It will be a goal kick for Portugal. They're going to take the time on it. They can't take too long because there's still 8 minutes left in this to go.
He won't leave it be. I don't know how many times he wanted to foul Iñaki Williams from behind and then still claim to be the aggrieved party. You know, ridiculous what footballers do sometimes.
Well, the game really has exploded into life now, hasn't it? As seen by the frustrations from the players. Ghana are going to make their last 2 substitutions as well. Jiku is one of the players to come off. And will it be Daniel Kofi Kiera to come on? That's certainly an attacking change. The Freiburg attacking midfielder. I didn't see the other one being made. I'll confirm that one when it is official. But Ghana have made their 5th substitution now. All 10 have been made, combined by either side. So it's up to the 11 players of Ghana on this pitch to try and get a late equaliser. As for Portugal, it's up to their 11 to keep these 3 points intact in what is already a really fantastic Group H. So much up for grabs. And here's Tariq Lamptey looking towards the back post. And it is, well, we confirm now that it's Antoine Semenyo that has come on to the field. Plays for Birmingham City, a young striker. So they're really throwing the gauntlet now. Ghana. It's another goal kick for Portugal. The referee runs over to Diogo Costa to say that while the ball is out of play, he will pause his watch and add on any seconds necessary.
I've seen him play recently for Bristol City. I think, was it Bristol City? I've seen him play somewhere recently, Semenyo. He'd been on Sunderland at loan, hadn't he? But I'm pretty sure it was Bristol City. I've seen him recently. Anyway. Yeah, fancy him popping up. But yeah, they've got a front 3 now. They're desperate to get the ball back. But for the moment, it's Portugal back on it, trying to see this game out of 3-2. Well, this second half has completely exploded into life for all sorts of reasons. And this is what the World Cup is all about. 2 sets of 11 on the raggedy edge. You can see what it means and, you know, how important it all is. Every single ball contested, every single incident, you know, and the 2 teams working so hard. But it's been such an enjoyable second half.
It really has. And you say that this is what the World Cup's all about. I think Osman Bukhari's celebration as well. Of course, they're still down. But if you're in his shoes, you're absolutely going to celebrate that goal, even if it does end up just being a consolation, which it might not be. We've still got so much added time remaining. But Portugal will come forward again. And there's so much space now that, of course, Ghana are going to commit everyone forward. Rafael Leao gets blisters past Tariq Lamptey, looks towards the far post where João Mario was waiting. Doesn't come to him. There's a chance for Ghana to come forward again. Here's Osman Bukhari, the recent goal scorer in this thrilling second half. 5 goals we've seen in about half an hour, and Semenyo has just put Diogo Costa under a lot of pressure. Doesn't get his clearance where he wanted it to. That's a daft challenge from Bruno Fernandes, just pulling the shirt of Osman Bukhari. Fernandes goes into the referee's book. They take it quickly, Ghana. They're not going to waste any seconds in this one.
I tell you what,
come back.
They're making me feel anxious, these 2 sets of players. Anxious and nervous. Bruno got a yellow card there, but he was feeling it too. Strong challenge from in behind there, and yeah, pocket picked. Here come Portugal again, looking to restore that 2-goal lead. This game got end-to-end now.
Really is end-to-end, and it's a 2-on-2 at the moment, 3-on-2. If Palhinha sees Rafael Leao on the far side, which he does, it's a chance to strike from range, well blocked by Thomas Partey. Falls kindly for Bukhari. Ghana will try and come forward again. Kiera's dispossessed brilliantly by Palhinha. Of course, he's so renowned for that at Fulham in the Premier League. Tackles are plenty, clean tackles are plenty. And that was one of those to add to his statistics. And with it being in Portugal's possession now, just get a little bit of a chance to run the clock down. Bruno Fernandes earns a throw-in for his team deep inside Ghanaian territory. About 3.5 minutes left in this one.
Well, they're trying to slow play themselves out of it now, Portugal, aren't they? They were thinking about bursting forward, then Bruno said, hang on, everybody, we don't need to do that. Let's just try and keep the ball down this flank, keep it away from Ghana. The game was getting stretched to this end, then the other. Portugal now just want to see it out.
Yeah, we'll see it out, given that they're trying to just pass it round in the corner. Guerrero into Fernandes. He just launches the ball at Tariq Lamptey. Obviously just trying to make a go for a throw, and he's going to immediately apologise for Lamptey. He's just saying, well, it's part of the game. I'm just trying to get another throw in. The Ghanaian fans look on anxiously. They got themselves back into it when Andre Ayew equalised, only for them to concede 2 in as many minutes. But Osman Bukhari, one of the substitutes, giving them just a glimmer of hope right before the added time was given. But it's a frustrating one for Ghana, because this is where Portugal, they've kept the ball so well in the first half, no less. They got a lot of possession. Gonzalo Ramos goes down under a shove from Daniel Amati. They're going to have a little coming together now, probably. Amati showing his frustrations. It's a free kick for Portugal, essentially right by the corner flag of Ghana. More seconds will tick away. Cristiano Ronaldo looks on anxiously. Of course, when he came off, they thought the job was done. It was 3-1 at that time. But frustrating one for Ghana, because of course they got that goal just before the added time, and you're thinking, wow, 9 minutes added on. Bruno Fernandes gets the ball into the box, it's punched away by the goalkeeper. But yeah, you've seen 7 of the 9 minutes now already. Ghana are going to try and come forward here. But it's 10 minutes that they've had, and they haven't really been able to make the most of it. I
think in fairness to the game, however it happened, Portugal scored first, and when they were attacking, they got, albeit a fortuitous penalty, but I always think it says something about the game who scored first. Who was attacking at that point when you're 0-0? Who was the better team then? See a shot come in, but that's from range, and although it's the top of the goal from the goal scorer Bukhari, it doesn't trouble the keeper. And then again, Ghana got a goal back, but so again it's level, and then who takes the lead again? It's Portugal. So they've been the front runners, haven't they? They've been the top dogs in the game. It's great that Ghana got back in and made it a bit closer. But I think Portugal have been the better of the two teams, and that the scoreline doesn't really it doesn't flatter them, I don't think.
No, I think you're right, because there haven't been too many opportunities for Ghana. I mean, full credit for them being prolific, because of the chances they've had, they have converted.
Well, Portugal switched off, didn't they, at 3-1?
Yeah.
That's when that goal comes in. They just all knocked off. They were patting each other on the back there, 2-goal cushion, and all that kind of stuff, and now it's a little bit tighter, but time's running out. There's only 30 seconds left of this game.
Only 30 seconds. And here's a goal kick for Ghana. You can imagine that Ati Ziggy's going to try and get this as far forward as soon as possible. Everyone racing into Portugal's defensive half. Looking towards the head of Semenya and Kiera. It is won by William Carvalho, not once but twice, towering in that defensive midfield position. Ghana making a bit of a meal of it, really, between the back. They've got to get this ball forward as soon as possible. We have gone past the 9 minutes. Thomas Partey is the one to try and bring it forward into Kiera. As well, it's good pressure really from Portugal, but they get out of that pressure. And on the far left-hand side, Barbara Rahman can get a ball looking to the back post where Semenyo is waiting. But Diogo Costa uses all of his height and his aerial reach to clamber that ball out of the air and bring it into his possession. He lies down onto the ground, trying to buy every second possible.
I tell you what, I bet he's out in his mouth when he comes out for that ball.
Oh, what's happening? Diogo Costa has dropped the ball, and in the end it would have trickled over the line, but William Carvalho has just cleared it. What has happened there, John? That is absolutely unbelievable. I assume that Diogo Costa has just lost possession of the ball, but instead Portugal are going to come forward here. Bruno Fernandes into Rafael Leao, a similar position to where he got his third goal. Goes back in the end. I'm at a loss for words of what just happened there, John. It went off camera, and all of a sudden we didn't see it. Ghana's striker pressing Diogo Costa. He'd lost possession and the ball was trickling towards the goal line. I think that William Carvalho or Danilo Pereira is the one to clear it in the end. Well, absolute carnage at the end of this game. It just about comes to an end. Head in hands for Iñaki Williams and his Ghana players. A totally thrilling second half. We've seen 5 goals in this one. We're just going to get a replay of this. It's Iñaki Williams who is, well, that is one for the highlight reels if that goes in, given that Diogo Costa lets go of the ball, doesn't know that Iñaki Williams is behind him. Cristiano Ronaldo's got his head in his hands wondering what Diogo Costa's doing, but he just about gets away with it, and Portugal get away with it after being 3-1 up. They concede a late goal to Ghana. What a thrilling match it has been, John. It's finished Portugal 3, Ghana 2.